Click that like, hit subscribe for us. Break the Board Sports, where we give you stats, info, and trends to help you become a better handicapper. Hope y'all had a blessed Thanksgiving. So thankful for everybody that tunes in. Again, click that like, hit subscribe. We're focusing on the big one, Ohio State at Michigan tomorrow. And I got to tell you, I can't wait for this game. Now, Michigan has won 4 straight. Ohio State, Michigan, one of the greatest rivalries in sports and definitely in college football. I think it's the king in college football. Um, there's nothing quite like it. Kind of like Duke, UNC, in college hoops. You just get juiced up for this one. Now, it's been talked about at nauseum, right? Michigan's won 4 in a row, but there's a couple different optics to this. Obviously, Ohio State has already punched their ticket to the Big Ten championship game, going to be them in Indiana, in Indianapolis next week. And things have changed with these rivalries. You know, you've heard a lot out of the Ohio State camp that the game really doesn't matter because they have the Big Ten championship game, and now the CFP is what everybody's focused on, as to where Michigan's like, hey, it's Michigan, Ohio State. Yeah, we want to beat them up. And not only that, if Michigan was to beat Ohio State, a 2-loss Michigan team is Ohio State comes into this 11-0. Michigan State right now coming into this game at 9-2. If Michigan State wins, I think you really got to look and take them serious about them getting in the college football playoff, right? I mean, does a 2-loss Michigan, and let's just run through it. If Ole Miss was to lose today to Mississippi State, I mean, Michigan gets in over Ole Miss, right? Michigan beats the number 1 team in the country, and we've all clearly said that Ohio State is better than anybody else in the country by a country mile. That's what's been talked about all year. So if Michigan beats them, and Michigan right now on a good streak, you would think they would have some legs. Now, Michigan, they would have helped their case a whole lot more if they had played Oklahoma tighter earlier in the year, or if they hadn't got drummed by USC. We gave out USC for that game, so it worked out. But a lot of different optics to this as we move in. Now, the line has bounced all over the place, right? It was at 10, 10.5. Now that it's all over the board. You got 9.5s, 10, 10.5s across the board. 67% of ticket count, 80% of the money is on the Buckeyes. 33% of ticket count, 20% of the handle is on Michigan. Now, the over-under sets at 43.5. 69% of the tickets, 63% of the handle to the over. 31% of the tickets, 37% of the handle to the under in this one. Now, last 10 games as a home dog. Michigan 3-6 straight up, 4-5 ATS. As to where Ohio State, they just draw them everybody. Last 10 as a road favorite, 9-1 straight up, including 8 in a row, 8-2 ATS. They've covered 6 straight, but they've played to the under in those 7 of the last 10, right? When you look over last year's matchup in Ohio State, Michigan with the huge upset, 13-10, year before 30-24. Then you have a run, the 2 wins by Michigan and the 3 wins by Ohio State previous. They were all blowouts. You got to go all the way back to 2016 for another 3-point game. So as great as the rivalry has been, out of the last 10, only 3 of them have been by 6 points or less. Typically, this one ends up being a runaway and kind of sours the whole rivalry thing. But I want to look at these last 2 years, and not because Michigan won, just kind of going inside the number here, because you had a game in both. Last year, Horseshoe, 2 years ago, Big House, 13-10 and 30-24 in those games. So what's really important is when you look at overall, right? So overall, Ohio State, 11th best offense in the country. They're averaging 37.9 points per game. But when they're on the road, and again, Ohio State, if you take out Texas, Ohio State hasn't played anybody, folks. And I'm not shooting bullet holes in the resume. Ohio State, to me, is clearly the best team. But I also got to look and say, okay, they beat a Texas team 14-7 that we've all said Texas was overrated, right? They went on the road and snapped Washington's 20-game home win streak, 24-6. Other than that, who have they played? I mean, you got Grambling, Ohio, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Penn State, Purdue, UCLA. All those teams stink. All of them, right? Illinois, You want to make an argument? Sure, go ahead if it makes you sleep better. But they're ranked in the top 25 because after like number 18, it really doesn't matter. You just find the next 7 teams, right? And so Ohio State hasn't played anybody, right? And I'm not saying Michigan, is all that in a bag of chips, but I think the Michigan defense is all that in a bag of chips for sure. When you look at Michigan, they're giving up overall ranked 15th in the country, 17.91 points per game. But when you put the Wolverines at home, they're the 7th best defense in the country, 10.6 points per game. And I think that's crucial because the one thing that Ohio State has put out there, Matt Patricia and what he's doing with this defense is incredible. They don't mind playing the defensive game. So I think this game has a huge chance, maybe not 13-10, but I think you're a low scoring game. So when I say low scoring, a lot of people see that 43.5 and the numbers speak to it. 69% of bets to the over, 63% of the handle to the over. I think that's only going to grow because the public's going to start betting today and tomorrow morning. And I think it's not going to go the other way. So I think under 43.5, if you're just patient, you're going to see a 44. When that 44 pops up, I think you fire a little bit and then you see how much further does it creep up for you, because I think there's some legs there to it. Now, if you look scoring, right, offensively on the road, we talked about this, Ohio State 6 points less per game on the road. If you look passing wise, they give up, Ohio State's about 100 yards more passing than Michigan. Now, Ohio State on the road, they're averaging 130.7 points on the ground. That's where it's going to be crucial for Michigan to control the running attack of Ohio State. I know we want to talk about the receivers, but Michigan's only given up 76 yards on the ground. Michigan's going to have to hold Ohio State to under 100 yards. If you look up and at the end of this game, Ohio State has rushed for $125, $130, $140, you don't even have to look at the final score. Ohio State's going to beat them by 2 touchdowns. That's just, this game is going to be in the trenches. Can Michigan's defensive and offensive line hold up against Ohio State? That's where this whole game is, because Julian's saying, we don't know how good he is. He's looked good, but he hasn't had to go win a game. I know Underwood, Coach Jerome Moore was on TV this week talking about he doesn't get rattled, and all that's great. But it's a whole lot different when you get into this and start seeing, okay, can they really hold up that whole time? Now, here's the thing. Ohio State's got the number 1 ranked defense, 8 points per game. We said Michigan at home's giving up 10. That's 18 points per game. I want to go back to that over-under. I think if you wait and you get a 44, you got to fire. I think if you get a 44, then it's a 2-team 7-point teaser in this game. You get under 51 and balloon Michigan up to 17.5. I think that has a lot of legs. Now, Michigan at home is averaging 33 points per game. Again, Ohio State only giving up 8. But Michigan can score enough to get them by. Again, Michigan, you want to stay away from Downs. You don't want to throw to his side. Jack Sawyer, you got to know where he's at. But Michigan, again, they're only, at home, they're averaging 226 yards passing. But here's the thing, and again, I go back to the total. Michigan, 239 yards on the ground at home. Going to be extremely key. Michigan run the ball. Ohio State, 7-1 ATS over their last 8 games. They're on a 10-game winning streak. But again, it's been well documented. Michigan, 4-1 straight up against Ohio State and 4-1 ATS over the last 5 meetings. Now, I've been talking about this under a lot. 6 straight games have went under the total for Ohio State. But head-to-head, the overs cashed 7 of the last 7. 7 in a row when the game is played in Michigan, we've gotten an over. All right. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at that. Michigan, 2-5 ATS, their last 7. But again, they've won 6 straight at home. They won 5 straight overall. The over head-to-head between these two teams has went over 10 of the last 11. But again, with that 10 of the last 11, the only one not going over was last year. I look more towards, I can't stress this enough, I think if you get 44, I'm going to keep beating it to death. you got to look to the under in this one. As far as the side, listen, I'm in the minority. I think Ohio State should be a 7.5 point favorite. The fact you're getting 10.5, I'm taking Michigan here. I'm also taking Michigan with the in a 7 point teaser. I took Michigan plus 17.5 in that teaser. I am with Arizona State plus 8.5. I also took Michigan plus 17.5 with Georgia Tech plus 21.5. So that's what I did there. But I love Michigan plus 10.5. I think they keep this close. I think Michigan's got much more juice coming into this than Ohio State. And obviously, I think, again, looking towards the under, I know these two teams have played to the over, but you got Ohio State giving up 8 points a game, Michigan only giving up 10 points a game at home. I know there's a lot of excitement that pops with this game, but I think especially this year, more than ever, Sharon Moore knows he can't outscore Ohio State. And Ohio State, the way they've been built with that Matt Patricia defense, is just to run the clock out, make the other team have less possessions against that great Ohio State defense that's ranked number 1 in the country. I like under 44 if you get it. I love Michigan's plus 10.5. And again, I put Michigan in a 7 point teaser plus 17.5 with Georgia Tech plus 21.5. That was my best college teaser. Click that like, hit subscribe, Break the Board Sports, where we help you become a better handicapper. God bless and happy handicapping.